for that.
Okay, thank you.
And JD, I don't know if this helps at all, but I looked this up to see if this helps explain the concept of non-conforming uses. And this is from the state. When a zoning ordinance is enacted, lawfully existing structures, lots, and uses of land may not comply with new zoning regulations. These are known as non-conforming uses, lots, or structures. The right of such non-conforming conditions to continue is constitutionally protected. Such nonconformities may continue until abandoned. As established by the Pennsylvania courts, abandonment requires both actual abandonment and the intent to abandon the nonconformity. Additionally, the right of the commercial or industrial nonconforming use to expand upon the lot occupied by the business at the time of the enactment of the ordinance that made the new use nonconforming in order to maintain economic viability or to take advantage of increases in trade also is constitutionally protected. So, and that's from DCED, the state. So I don't know if that helps you at all.
Yeah, it does. So natural expansion within the business, normal operations of the business is okay, if that makes sense. And again, or to, if something were to happen and it were to burn down, you could come back and put it back in that place.
Okay.
Do you want to just get to the compressor real quick?
You lack a quorum.
We're not making, we're just
I just
information.
thought I'd throw it out there.
I have something.
You like a secretary?
I didn't know.
Okay.
Are we still going by page
Yeah, do you have anything?
34? F, the building approval must be applicable provisions of chapter 27 of the township code.
What letter?
F, I'm sorry.
That's a,
I know we've talked
I
about,
think that's gonna be, that's the UCC section that we want to.
yeah, I just didn't know, I mean, that was, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't know, 'cause I know we had talked, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Is chapter 27 the UCC?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we did, because I thought before it just said the applicable
Yeah,
building
it is.
provisions or something of that, it was blank. So I think we did put
Chapter
chapter 27 in.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
so yeah,
just
no,
was-
that's the correct reference.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure,
Yep.
because you know. Are you looking for section there?
I had something before that too, on 30.
Yep, go ahead.
Page 30, under communication tower,
Yep.
paragraph B. Noted-
B.
Paragraph B.
Yep.
Notice upon submission of an application for a tower-based YCF and the scheduling of the public hearing upon the application, the applicant shall mail notice to all owners of every property within 500 feet of the proposed facility. The applicant shall provide proof of the notification to the township. My question is this the only entity or structure that requires that?
No.
Is that required for gas and oil?
Yes.
And why would not a newspaper ad be sufficient if it's sufficient for the township? Why wouldn't it be sufficient for businesses?
Yeah, again, for people that are within that distance, not everyone reads the paper, not everyone is familiar with that, so having them actually have to receive it in mail gives what you would perceive as the most likely to be affected by it a chance to come have their say, so that not after the fact they say, I didn't know this was coming up.
The reason being, I just saw one advertised in the paper within the last couple
Well, I
of days.
mean, they have to be advertised. It'll have to be, all conditional use hearings will have to be advertised, but people within this distance would also get an actual notification letter. Whereas if you're not within that, you would have to rely upon, coming to township meetings to, or to read the paper or whatever it might be.
And you're saying gas and oil and other related?
Other ones do have that as well, yes.
Okay. And there is I assume a typo
I'm not sure.
on page 31 under IV4.
Which one?
Page 31, second paragraph,
C
4.
or,
What's that?
there's two.
The ID, you mean?
The top or the bottom?
First one, I'm sorry, yeah. So second paragraph, says where the tower-based YCF is located on a property and with another principal use, the applicant
Hello.
shall present documentation to the Board of Supervisors that the owner of the property has granted an easement for the proposed WTF. I assume that's a typo and needs changed, although it's sort of appropriate with this, but,
All right.
Freudian slip.
yeah.
Subconscious, I guess.
That's something on page 35. I'm sorry.
Yes.
See ya.
See you guys. Thanks.
My question on page
Good night, be safe.
35 is actually the whole daycare home thing.
Well, hold on, can we do compressor station real quick? Just because
Oh, sure,
we
I'm sorry.
received a
That's the
comment.
one.
What page?
Starting on page 32,
Okay.
we received a comment letter from Columbia. And do we have that letter?
Secretary left with it.
Secretary left with it.
This is,
Okay, we have it.
She
We-
got it.
he's got it.
So, this was from Columbia Midstream, and they just have a few items that, comments regarding, their first one is regarding minimum lot size, and that's on page 33, B1, no, B2, sorry, B2 lot size. So we have the minimum lot size for compressor station shall be 10 acres. Their comment is, so that the draft now has a minimum lot size of 10 acres for compressor station that is generally consistent with our prior comment provided to the township last May. We do repeat our request for 5 acres to be considered. So again, they acknowledge that they brought this up before, we brought it down to 10, they're requesting it to be 5. And I think we talked about this before, and I think the consensus was we want to keep it at 10 for that site. And then, next one down at D1, Columbia appreciates that the landscape buffer of 50-foot trees and prior grass has been removed. However, this screening requirement should be revised to explain that the compressor station building should be screened and not the entire property upon which the compressor station is located. So I guess, what they're saying is there could be other aspects of the compressor property, but they want to make sure that what this, they're looking for clarification, that the screening pertains to the building, not all the
You want to
operations.
take the word site and make it building?
Yes, that's what they're asking for.
I thought the intent was to have it, the perimeter
Well,
screen for
again,
the
that-
site.
So that they're requesting it not be that.
I'm confused. Are we talking about one specific site, or are we passing
They're-
laws for everything?
No, everything, for
Yeah.
compressor stations.
Well, you keep saying,
That's because it
This is a
came
letter,
from
this is a
Columbia.
letter from Columbia.
I understand that, and they're gonna be done before this is all done anyway. So they'll be quote-unquote grandfathered in.
Correct.
I think they're talking about if they would have future sites.
Yeah, I would,
Right? This is their request, is to
Well, it
help.
already says determined on a site-specific basis. Does
Yeah.
it really need to go back and?
I would leave it. You want the buffer for the site, I would think. Is there anybody that disagrees with that? You'd want
Was
the site buffer,
site
not
or
just a
sound?
building.
I would say
I think it's
both.
both.
I mean,
Well,
it
then,
serves-
if it's gonna be sound, I think we should leave it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
As sight and sound, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like that one, for example, that's going in out there, you got it right in the middle of all the farmland and the woods and you know what I mean? If you don't have to have that, so it's
I
a
have a
buffer for
question, I have
sight
a
and
question
sound.
about that. You ever been near a, air shaft or mine?
Right back there.
They're not required to have anything.
Is there anything in here that addresses that?
No.
If you're worried about noise,
Our air shaft's noisy.
oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. I guess they'd have big fans, huh?
Yeah.
I've never been around one of them.
What would that be defined as?
The coal industry.
Well, yeah,
Mining.
what type of use, mining.
Yeah.
So there's nothing in here that addresses that at all?
Well, not in compressor stations, so if we wanted.
No, I mean in the whole zoning ordinance.
Mine is not addressed in there, no.
No.
Maybe it's not allowed to be, they lobby too big.
Well, I would think with all the, there again, if you're looking at future development, that there's a lot of coal development moving this way, going
That's
right under
definitely-
Westelli.
That's definitely coming.
That's
I'm gonna tell you right
happening now. I mean,
Yeah.
they're buying property, they're going under Westelli.
So we'll look at that. All right, so, but as far as that, so then the next one, talking about design standards, they're asking, there's a provision here under design standards that deals with, the type of compressor. They're stating that as long as they can meet the performance standards of sound, that it doesn't matter what type of compressor. And I agree with their rationale behind that.
Yeah,
That's E1, okay. And then the expand, they want something to talk about the expansion of the project and expanding its size, scope, use, et cetera, means, that's more of a legal question, so, we're gonna talk to them about that. Again, they're talking about what would it, getting into the whole, this wouldn't be a non-conforming use, I guess technically, but, you know, an expansion of a conditional use, because that's what this would be coming under. If they expand the site, they want,
They don't wanna have to come back
They don't-
through the
yeah.
conditional use process again if they had more compressors.
exactly, so they just want that clarified. And again, the idea would be, if they're not changing the footprint, if they can still meet the sounds, if they're still doing all that, we agree. Yeah, I mean, if you're, that's fine, but if the argument would be if they're changing the size and they're changing the scope, we want them to come back and demonstrate that they can still meet the noise, they can still, you know, whatever it might be, so that's
Wouldn't-
kind of a.
Wouldn't that sort of parallel, language you have somewhere in there about reentry?
Yeah.
drilling and
It's
stuff?
Similar,
When you have it in, I believe you have it in there, they do have to come back
correct.
for reentry?
Reentry's a little bit different than expansion, but, yeah.
Yep. I'm just saying similar, I'm not
Yeah,
saying,
no, I agree, and so that's kind of where we're talking to them about what would trigger that. So. And, yeah, and then the last one's supplemental regulation, that's just that's a formatting matter, so, those are their main comments. So I guess the response to them would be, we're comfortable with the 10 minimum acres, we're comfortable with the site regulation as far as the screening, we want it to be site-wide, we don't want it to be specific to the compressor building itself, and then we're okay with changing the design standard aspect of it.
what was it specifically about the design standard?
They didn't want to, yeah, we state that,
Where we at, E1?
E1, electric motors, it's saying that you shall utilize electric motors unless you can show,
Oh, yeah,
hardship
that's,
or reason why, and they're saying as long as we can meet noise, all those standards, we shouldn't have to comply with that.
right.
Show-
Well, it makes sense to have it run off natural gas,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like,
So, I think we're okay with that. Okay, so those were the comments from Columbia. I assume the township has this, if someone wants to look at it.
Who got them runs off electric?
hmm?
Who got them runs off electric?
No, I'm saying that, but it shouldn't be limited to that
No,
if
Is
it,
it what?
they have them.
Streets and
Oh, okay.
sidewalks.
It's in a house.
And
One of
cities
them's in
and
a house
roads.
that you
There's
think
nothing else
somebody
in
lived
there
there.
about mining. Do we need something for mining?
It sounds like, well, again, it sounds like that's coming, or?
Yeah,
Yeah.
So then I guess.
it's here.
it's here.
The question would be, does anyone have suggestions of where to look for regulations?
Who else is doing a lot of mining?
I mean, it's a huge industry.
Oh, yeah.
What's that?
And it's prominent in this
Call Donald Trump.
area. I can't believe that it's not in there. I mean, how did that,
Who else are
Well,
they mining?
I mean, certain things are.
East Finland.
Because,
I
I
mean, a
mean,
lot of
right,
it's gonna
it's
be
the
permitted,
minerals,
yeah.
the
and a lot of it's gonna be underground.
yeah?
Independence?
So a lot of the underground activity, we don't have any.
West Finland,
I
West
think there was
Finland doesn't have zoning.
independence too.
A lot of it's gonna be limited to what we can
They don't have any faults.
regulate.
Those air shops allow
But
They
there's,
put the air shafts, they put the tipples. they
So
put
the
the
above-
layers.
Boy, there was a lot of stuff that they were.
Surface structures.
Yeah, the
where you
surface
find
structure
laws
we could
and
regulate.
stipulations Of what they can and can't do.
Okay,
Independence is going through mining.
this Independence right here?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Well, it's all around, east, west Finley, and
Yeah, the Finleys,
And the
both,
Finley's
The
mining.
Finleys are real.
both
real
east
big.
and west Finley are both, they're mining in both of them.
This is Tunnel Ridge that they're down through us.
Okay.
I mean, you can even, not that it, can you go across state line to look up stuff? Is that helpful or not? Like,
I mean,
or
you
does
can
it
look-
not?
I mean, yeah, you can,
You can look, but they have different stipulations and rules. as
That's
far
what I'm
as-
saying, I mean, it still might be helpful as far as information,
It still
Yeah.
uses the show or an outline.
because there's a lot.
Things to look at.
You know, all you gotta do is do a 25-mile radius here.
and then the only other comment, I did get a comment from Mark West regarding not compressor stations, but processing plants. They're okay with everything. The issue is, I guess, the way that the township is set up, that when they start putting in the different setbacks, they think they're all reasonable, the 100, they agree that they're bigger items, the processing plants. However, though, when they started mapping, they put different setbacks in for the protected structure, different areas, and then they start looking at the makeup of the township, they're starting to believe that there would not be a place. They're not saying they want to put one here, but they're just saying, hey, heads up, when we start mapping this, I asked them to send us those maps so that we could look to see, they basically do all that and they'll kind of show, they ask that we don't share that, because it has other information on that. But upon receiving those and looking at that, if that is the case, I asked them, do they have any suggestions? They said probably would have to limit the lot size for a processing plant. Have to probably drop it down a little bit, because it's at 100 acres right now. They said that, or possibly limiting the setbacks. I don't think we want to
About
limit the
a
setback.
year ago, when Columbia came and we came to the one meeting, the guy said that he had, Mark West, he said once they got her that, there were like 2 usable parcels in the whole entire township.
Yeah, so that would be,
So, yeah,
so I'm gonna.
I guess the biggest question would be, we'd have to educate ourselves on how noisy, how big a processing plant is.
Come see me.
Yeah. that's what I'm
Oh,
saying.
well, hey, well then you can tell us. Then you would know, so you would tell us if 100 is usual, is that too big, too small?
I would say,
They're
100
gonna
is
use
what
their-
Chartier's ordinance says,
Is that,
or the new draft ordinance. Because it's a big, if you haven't seen it, I mean, it's a big industrial operation, as big as any industrial operation that, when steel was big.
It's noisy.
but that would also bring jobs, correct?
Well, there aren't a lot of people who work
No,
at the
it wouldn't.
plant. There's about 15
Construction,
people who
maybe.
work at the plant. I mean, there's not a lot of people who.
They're only allowed to have so many people on
Yeah,
that
that's
site
correct.
because of the risks and the,
Yeah.
what is, Jody, do you know what the footprint of that site is there in Chartiers?
I don't know, I can check. I can figure
And there's one, they got conditional use approval in Smith,
that out. Yeah, Smith has one.
out near Slovan or Verse, I don't know exactly.
Yeah,
But
it's out there.
there's a processing plant going in out there as well. And theirs is 100 acres. Again, they were okay with this, but then they said, once we start doing the mapping, now it's looking like, due to the makeup of Donegal,
When it's applied.
yeah, when they start applying it, so I'll look for more feedback from them and kind of see if there's a, if they run the numbers, if we go down to 75 or 80, does that make it a little bit more tolerable? I guess is kind of what we'll have to hear back, but just wanted to let you know that we did.
Why
If I
don't,
remember correctly, some of the stipulations where they could go had to do with the amount of electricity was available in the facilities.
To get to it, yeah.
I mean, I think that was part of what they.
Yeah, and he, again, I don't know, I have no reason not to believe him, but, he said, we're not specifically looking here right now, but, we just have to do our homework, yeah.
but they could always, we wouldn't have to lessen the minimum lot size. They can always come and ask for a variance or say, hey,
Right, just like-
because of this, they
just
could
like-
come and say, look, this is
Why should
where
they-
we wanna be.
Right.
And, this parcel's
Yeah.
83 acres. Is that, you know what I mean?
Right,
So
they can
we wouldn't have
ask,
to
they could
change-
ask permission, just like Joe Sixpack who wants to sell his car. Right,
Or they can claim it's exclusionary
Yeah, because
and
they
then
could say
challenge
we-
it, and they could go anywhere they want.
Yeah, and they could say, because we let you know, you knew that
That it
this
was
was,
exclusionary.
yeah, so,
Can they take your land?
Eminent
Just
domain.
asking.
Yeah, no.
Not yet. They ain't as powerful yet.
Take it back.
So should we stop at,
Yeah, it's 10, I'm done.
stop at page 34?
It's getting old.
I have a question. At the last zoning ordinance meeting, I had made the comment that, you know, at one point, I really didn't understand the whole zoning, but now I'm getting, you know, I'm getting around to understanding.
Excuse me, Sherry,
importance.
the fans that come back on, could you speak up a little bit, please?
No, I was just saying, the last meeting, I made a comment about, obviously somebody's benefiting from this. When I really didn't know enough about the zoning. But now that I've looked into the zoning and I'm understanding there is some importance to zoning and why you would want to have it versus reasons why you would not want to have it. My question is this. After the last meeting, it was really interesting because I went home and I said to my husband, I said, this was actually the supervisor's meeting, that a request was made by the old McDonald farm to find out if there was utilities there, you know. And Sam said to me, well, sure, that makes perfectly sense because I just talked to Jerry Garrison who said that Brian Venzel was over there today.
Yeah.
And they're looking to put a housing development over there. So I wasn't too far off, not at all. So my question is this. Does the zoning board or committee have the right to say how many houses would go on the parcel of land?
There's a density.
There's a lot size.
I can't hear. One person. Yes, do they have the right to say, like, can they go in there and put 100 houses over there?
You got a
Or can
major,
they?
you got a major issue with the sewage treatment plant.
Well, I know
It
that.
won't take that.
Well, I know that, but I mean,
That's maybe they'll build their own plant. I don't
well, you never know.
Yeah.
So I guess when we think about the housing, developments coming into the area, just like, there's some really nice ones up here by Washington County Health Center. You know, and first it started out as like 20 homes, now it's up to like 50, 60 homes, there's a ton over there. How many homes are they allowed to have on
It's a 2 acre, excuse me, Sherry, it's a 2 acre minimum lot size
2 acre minimum lot per house?
per house.
In the agricultural
ag.
zone, which I'm assuming,
We are agricultural.
That is.
Now, that would be mixed. That would be in mixed use.
That's ag, that's
Right.
It's ag, it's right across.
he asked to be made ag.
Yeah, he's
You
ag.
have to look on the
Oh, I
map.
thought
I
that,
did.
Okay, well, I don't have your.
It used to, Kathy Laird said that they had us all down as mixed, and she went and complained, and it was all changed back to agricultural.
So did Brian. Brian had his changed to agricultural too.
Yeah, so if it's agricultural, then it could be one home on 2 acres. I'd be fine with that. I was just wondering, you know, because I said, you know,
How many acres was there?
I don't know. I don't know how much on top that hill.
That's a good,
Pretty decent piece, but I know that the sewage would be an issue, but I'm just trying to process this so we can educate the family. Because if it's gonna come, then they've gotta come to terms with this, you know? They don't like change. Let's put it that way.
You may have to lay out lots on your side.
Well, I'll tell you what, for those of you that know my husband, we're gonna put in a hog lot, okay? And,
Bring it on.
And if you don't think he'll do it, he would do it. So I'm just trying to like collect my
I'll
knowledge
help him.
and be able to, you know, explain all this. But a house on 2 acres a lot, 2 acre lot is reasonable. So, but I thought that sewage would be an issue. Okay.
Yeah, in fact, they couldn't put it in the hotels they were gonna build because there wasn't enough capacity.
And according to this, they can't be within 3 football fields of a oil and gas operation or 3 football fields
Right,
within the water place they just put up there. So that's pretty much,
ate a big chunk out of the middle.
yes, it did. Okay. All right, that's all.
Okay, I can't call for a vote to adjourn. If anybody doesn't have any problem, I can't say we can adjourn. Is that okay? See you next time.
Their name doesn't have to be-
Hey, Lee, you,
I told him to.
to clarify, you probably ought to, with that, since you can't adjourn, you should probably say the date. Right? Jody, since you can't adjourn, you need to say what the next date is, or continue to the next meeting
When is the next?
on, and state that date. Right?
Well, generally, the chairman can adjourn the meeting. You don't really need a vote to adjourn the meeting.
Oh, so just
Okay.
adjourn the meeting then?
I didn't know if
That's
you,
I mean, that's Robert's Rules of Order. The chairman can adjourn the meeting. Because if somebody.
So is the meeting adjourned
You're
then?
not, the meeting isn't continuing on.
when is the next meeting? I guess was my point.
23rd or 30th. Right?
The next regular, yeah, according to that. Yeah.
The next regular meeting scheduled for the fourth Tuesday.
May 23rd, is that what you said?
That's their
Tuesday of
scheduled
every
meeting,
month.
yes.
So it'll be the May 23rd.
Day after my birthday.
Oh, yeah. Friends,
How many people's in on that house?
Yeah.
I'm over there.
I live in more than just, more than Brian.
John Mark Hunter,
Yeah,
and I don't know if King's the other one or not. There's one more.
I know there's more than one.
Yeah.
I heard one time Jim McMurray was on.
Yeah,
Five.
I went down it.
Five.
They made some money.
I heard there were five.
They made some money. There you go. In 3 years.
Only one five.
Thanks, Jody.
They knew, someone gave them a heads up.
Yeah,
that
pamphlet.
This all oil and gas was coming.
Good.
The people knew the oil and gas